I am very worried that there will be a major attack on this nation. And I don't really say that without intelligence to back us up. We receive regular warnings that the intelligence community provides to us that attacks are increasing in number, sophistication, and damage. Unfortunately, despite significant changes made to the Cybersecurity Act that Senator Lieberman, Senator Collins, Senator Rockefeller agreed to, many on the other side of the aisle filibustered the bill. And since that time, we have learned of additional major cyber attacks. In October and September of this year, at least 9 major United States banks were hit by a series of attacks that blocked their customers from accessing their banking information or making online transactions. This list of victims includes the country's largest, most sophisticated financial institutions: the Bank of America, J.P. Morgan, Chase, Citigroup, the United States Bank, Wells Fargo, PNC, Capital One, BB&T Corporation, and HSBC, all cyber attacked. Now, these attacks systematically hit banks for 5 weeks. They disrupted traffic at each bank for a day or two before moving on to the next victim. It was a well-planned and coordinated cyber attack from bank to bank to bank to bank. It disrupted the banking system, but it didn't destroy it. But that doesn't mean that they don't have the ability to destroy it. This is a real wake-up call, and I think we ignore it at our own peril. And I really have come to believe that it is negligent to fail to pass a bill. I remember I was on the Intelligence Committee when the director, then Director Tenet, came before the committee in the middle of the year sometime and said to us, "We anticipate an attack. We don't know where, we don't know when." And that attack came, and it was 9/11. Today, there is the same anticipation of a big attack, and we need to put in place the legal procedures to prevent that. Let me go on. In August, a foreign country or organization used computer code to destroy 30,000 computers at the world's largest energy company. That's Saudi Aramco, and that's Saudi Arabia's state-owned oil company. So how was this done? Now, according to the New York Times, the cyber attackers unleashed a computer virus to initiate what's regarded as among the most destructive acts of computer sabotage on a company to date. The virus erased data on 3/4 of Aramco's corporate PCs, documents, spreadsheets, emails, files, replacing all of it with an image of a burning American flag. Now, if anything is a harbinger of things to come, that is clear. Why would you put on a major cyber attack burning American flags unless you had some additional intent? We cannot underestimate the threat, and to do so is sheer negligence on the part of this body. In the 5 months from October 11 through February 2012, over 50,000 cyber attacks were reported on private and government networks, with 86 of those attacks taking place on critical infrastructure networks. So we've had 86 attacks on critical infrastructure networks. Keep in mind that these 50,000 incidents were only the ones reported to the Department of Homeland Security. So they represent but a small fraction of cyber attacks carried out against the United States. This year, 2012, Nissan, MasterCard, and Visa joined the ranks of major companies to be hacked, joining Sony, Citi, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Google, Booz Allen Hamilton, Visa, RSA, L3, and the Chamber of Commerce as victims of hacking last year. We also know that last year, for at least 6 months, 48 companies in the chemical, defense, and other industries were penetrated by a hacker looking to steal intellectual property. The cybersecurity company Symantec has attributed these attacks to computers in Hebei, China. Here's the point. We know we are being attacked by other countries. I hear it in intelligence. It is classified, so I can't go into it here. But suffice it to say that we know it is happening. Things are only going to get worse. Secretary Panetta testified to this, and let me just read one section of his testimony. The collective result of these kinds of attacks could be a cyber Pearl Harbor, an attack that would cause physical destruction and loss of life. In fact, it would paralyze and shock the nation and create a new, profound sense of vulnerability. Members of the Senate, we are warned. We are warned clearly, we are warned directly, and we are warned by the cyber commander, General Alexander, as well as the Secretary of Defense. And yet we do nothing. I strongly believe we should pass this bill. It's a step along the way. Clearly, it will go to the House. Clearly, there will be a conference. In order to get something, there will be some accommodations made. There is no reason for this Senate, knowing what we know, not to pass this bill. We also know the president would sign a bill like this. And we know the president would not sign the House bill as is. So we have an opportunity to make the changes. I want to remind my colleagues of efforts made to negotiate an agreement on this bill. Before the bill came to the floor in July, and while the Senate was considering it, there were numerous meetings every day by a dozen or more senators. The authors of the bill met with Senators McCain, Chambliss, Hutchison, the sponsors of the Secure IT Act, as well as with Senators Kyle and Whitehouse and a group they convened. We had multiple meetings with the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber's largest concern was over the liability protections in our information sharing language, which is what I had something to do with and the intelligence staff worked on and prepared. I asked where they thought our language was deficient. I asked them if they could improve on the immunity provisions. Please send us bill language. Did they? No, they did not. I think that is some testimony that's worth thinking about it. The majority leader offered to vote on a set list of amendments. He asked if the minority would put together the 10 votes it wanted, as long as they were relevant and germane to the bill, and we'd go through them. No list was provided. And so we voted by a vote of 52 to 46, and cloture was not invoked. Again, after the vote, the staff from both sides of the Homeland Security Committee, the Commerce Committee, the Intelligence Committee held numerous meetings to negotiate a compromise. The effort did not succeed. So if we're to address the major problem of cyber attacks and potential cyber warfare, we have no option but to bring the Lieberman-Collins bill back on the floor. Mr. President, I know my time is limited. I know the nation's cyber laws are woefully out of date. I want to also just touch on one thing. I received a call on the information sharing part of this bill about the Homeland Security portal or exchange. And that CEO said, we would like our information to go directly in to the various defense companies. That creates a big problem. It created a problem with a number of United States senators who are concerned about the military getting private information. It created a big concern with the privacy organizations throughout our country. And so it was changed so that the portal be run, most likely, by Homeland Security. But here's the point I want to make. The transfer of information is with the click of a mouse. It moves instantaneously, so that as information—
Your time has expired.
may I ask unanimous consent to have 1 minute to conclude?
Is there objection? Without objection.
Thank you very much. So as information comes in, it goes instantaneously into the correct area. The CEO said, I didn't know that. Thank you. I have no problem with that. So I would ask, you see, I really think disagreeing with some aspects of this bill isn't that important. We're never going to do the perfect bill without experience. The bills are going to have to be changed and amended as time goes on. But I think passing a bill is important. I think to leave this country vulnerable, not to pass a bill because somebody doesn't like this or that, is negligent, it is irresponsible, and God forbid if we have that major Pearl Harbor that Secretary Panetta referred to. So I urge my colleagues to pass this bill. I thank the chair for the extra time. I yield the floor.